Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's breaking update from Eastern Europe has sent shockwaves across the geopolitical landscape. Belarus, once seen as a silent supporter of Moscow's war in Ukraine, has just made a move that could completely shift the balance of this conflict. This isn't just another statement or a symbolic gesture. This is a real change with major implications for both Russia and Ukraine, and even for NATO. What's happening right now in Belarus could redefine the next phase of the war. In the past few months, Belarus has walked a fine line between supporting Russia and avoiding direct confrontation with the West. President Alexander Lukashenko has often tried to present himself as a loyal ally to Vladimir Putin, allowing Russian troops to use Belarusian territory as a launchpad for attacks on Ukraine. But behind closed doors, tensions between Minsk and Moscow have been brewing for quite some time. And now, after weeks of rumors and intelligence leaks, Belarus appears to have taken a dramatic turn that no one expected. Reports coming out of Minsk suggest that Belarus is now reevaluating its entire military alignment with Russia. Sources indicate that key figures within the Belarusian government and military leadership have raised concerns over how the war is being fought and how Belarus could become the next target of international isolation and sanctions. These concerns have intensified as Russia continues to face massive losses on the front lines and struggles to maintain supply routes under constant Ukrainian drone and artillery strikes. For Lukashenko, the risk of being pulled down with a sinking ally might finally be too great. What's particularly interesting is how this shift is being reflected in Belarus's diplomatic tone. For the first time in months, state-controlled media in Belarus have started to use noticeably neutral language when discussing the war. Instead of echoing Moscow's propaganda lines about liberating Ukraine, they're focusing on security, stability, and independence. That's a major departure from the Kremlin's messaging, and experts believe it's Lukashenko's way of signaling to the world, and especially to the West, that Belarus wants to create some distance from Russia's failing campaign. The move has also been felt on the military level. Satellite images and local sources indicate that Belarusian forces have reduced joint operations with Russian troops along the border. Some Russian units stationed inside Belarus are reportedly being relocated further east, suggesting that coordination between the two armies is beginning to break down. Lukashenko's government, meanwhile, has quietly increased contact with European mediators and even opened back-channel communications with Kiev. While Belarus isn't switching sides outright, it's clear that the country is positioning itself to avoid going down with Moscow's sinking ship. This recalibration could not come at a worse time for Vladimir Putin. The Russian president has been counting on Belarus as a strategic buffer zone and a launch platform for potential new offensives into northern Ukraine. Losing Belarus's full cooperation would be a devastating blow to Russia's already overstretched military efforts. It would mean that any renewed attack from the north becomes nearly impossible, and Moscow would have to divert even more resources to protect its western flank. In short, Putin could find himself fighting not just on multiple fronts in Ukraine, but also in the realm of diplomacy, trying to keep his few remaining allies from slipping away. Ukraine, on the other hand, stands to gain from this sudden shift. Kiev's intelligence officials have already acknowledged the signs of Belarus pulling back from the war effort. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has publicly thanked neighboring nations for maintaining neutrality, a statement that analysts interpret as a veiled reference to Belarus. The Ukrainian army can now reallocate troops that were guarding the northern border toward the eastern and southern battlefields, where the fight is most intense. Strategically, this could strengthen Ukraine's ongoing counteroffensives and allow it to regain critical momentum before the harsh winter sets in. The big question now is, what exactly is Lukashenko's end game? Some experts believe this move is less about principle and more about survival. Belarus is under tremendous pressure from both sides. Western sanctions have crippled its economy, while dependence on Russia for energy and security has turned the country into a satellite state. Lukashenko may now see an opportunity to regain some autonomy by leveraging his role as a neutral mediator. By distancing himself slightly from Putin, he might hope to ease Western pressure while still keeping Moscow close enough to avoid direct retaliation. It's a dangerous balancing act, but one that Belarus has played before. However, this decision doesn't come without risks. Putin is not known for tolerating disloyalty. If Moscow perceives Belarus's shift as betrayal, it could respond harshly, perhaps by cutting off vital energy supplies, orchestrating political pressure, or even attempting to destabilize Lukashenko's regime through intelligence operations. Belarus's military leadership is reportedly divided, with some officers remaining deeply loyal to Russia and others favoring a more independent stance. That internal tension could create the kind of instability that both Kiev and Moscow will be watching closely. The international reaction to Belarus's move has been cautious but optimistic. NATO officials have stated that they are closely monitoring the developments, while European diplomats have quietly welcomed the possibility of Belarus stepping back from Russia's war effort. Washington has also taken note, emphasizing that any genuine steps by Minsk to promote peace or disengage from aggression would be met with dialogue rather than punishment. This suggests that the West might be willing to give Lukashenko an off-ramp if he's bold enough to take it. Still, nothing is guaranteed. Belarus's shift could just as easily reverse if Putin offers new incentives or pressures Lukashenko into compliance. The two leaders have had a complex relationship for decades, filled with power plays, economic blackmail, and uneasy cooperation. But this time, the stakes are far higher. With Russia's war machine faltering and domestic unrest growing, even the smallest act of defiance from a key ally like Belarus could send ripple effects throughout the Kremlin's fragile network of influence. As the situation unfolds, one thing is clear: the balance of the Ukraine war is changing rapidly. Belarus's new position could redefine not just the front lines, but the entire diplomatic landscape of Eastern Europe. If Minsk continues down this path, it could inspire other nations aligned with Moscow, like Armenia or even Kazakhstan, to reconsider their relationships with Russia as well. The geopolitical domino effect could reshape the post-Soviet sphere in ways we haven't seen since the fall of the USSR. For now, the world is watching Belarus very closely. Whether Lukashenko truly intends to step away from Putin's shadow or is merely playing another round of strategic bluff remains to be seen. But the fact that this discussion is even happening marks a turning point in the war's trajectory. It shows that Russia's iron grip over its neighbors is weakening, and that the cracks in Putin's alliance system are beginning to show. In the days and weeks to come, we can expect more signals, military redeployments, diplomatic statements, and perhaps even new negotiations involving Belarus. If this shift continues, it could open the door to new peace talks, or, conversely, spark new confrontations as Moscow tries to reassert control. Either way, this is a pivotal moment. Belarus's latest move is not just a regional story. It's a global one, with consequences that could reshape the entire course of the war in Ukraine. So stay tuned, because this story is far from over. The world has just witnessed Belarus take its most daring step in years. a step that might change the balance of power in Eastern Europe forever.